7th, 2017 to order. And if you would please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of Michigan and to the state for which it stands, two beautiful peninsulas united by a bridge of steel, where equal opportunity and justice to all is our ideal. Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers.
Here.
Spolman.
Here.
Ingalls.
Here.
Meinhardt.
Here.
Mayor Folkins.
Here. At this time, we'll look for an approval of the agenda. I think that we may have an update to the agenda. Is that true, Marcus?
Yes, that is true, Mayor Folkins, members of the City Council. I would appreciate it if we could move item 8B, which is the adoption of a resolution to accept real estate in certain easements at or about Terry D. Boulevard, into a later point in our agenda after we return from the closed session and back into our open session, for the reasons being that it's an item that will be covered under the case caption that's listed in the closed session. It would be appropriate to discuss that first in that venue.
Okay. Okay, would someone like to make that motion with the update?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Councilmember Spolman.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Meinhardt.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes. Motion carries. At this time, we'll open the floor for public comments. We do ask if you come forward, if you would just state your first name and then write your entire name and address for the clerk. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you could keep your comments to 3 minutes or under.
Good evening. My name is Tim Alabas at 705 Washington Street in Cadillac, the beautiful. 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to be here but was called out of town pertaining to the Diggins Hill tennis court being turned into, court number 4 turned into a pickleball court. And I believe that you discussed it somewhat 2 weeks ago. And what I'm doing here tonight is just to get your final approval to put the lines on the court, and let's see what kind of amount of people we draw forward. There's quite a few pickleball players in this town. It's big all over the country. Traverse City is gigantic. Of course, in Florida, it's just behind golf. It's just huge. So what I'm looking for tonight is just an approval from the City Council to go ahead and put those lines on court number 4. And I recall from 2 weeks ago, there's a question about the nets. That does create some problems for us because obviously the tennis nets are cemented in the court, and vandalism on them is pretty difficult to do, although it's happened in the past. The pickleball nets have to be put up by someone that has pickleball nets. And I play Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the YMCA, and I talked to them this morning about it. And there's quite a group of people that have nets that they've purchased themselves. So we have to have somebody step forward out of that group to put the nets up when they have a group to play and take them off the court when they leave. Because if they're left up there unattended, it would be disastrous. And there are several this morning that expressed their ability or their desire to do that very thing. So I think it's a win-win situation. If we put the lines on court number 4 and nobody shows up and nobody cares, that's the end of it. And then if we really get a large turnout, which I think we will, then we could go ahead, possibly with your permission, of course, because the tennis courts are owned by the city, not the school district, to put lines on court number 3. That would give us 2 courts on court number 4 and 2 courts on number 3. That would be 4. And at the YMC, they only have 3, so I think that would be a good starting point. But I think by just doing court number 4, we're going to get a good indication of what kind of turnout we have. If nobody shows up, we've done the best we can. And if we have a good turnout, which I believe we will, then we can move forward and maybe expand to the court next door. The lines on the tennis court will be a different color than the lines there for the tennis players. And as all of you know, go to a basketball game, there are all kinds of lines on the basketball floor, volleyball, blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't create a problem at all, usually. So I don't think it's going to bother the tennis players whatsoever.
Okay.
That's it. I just need a yay or nay, let's do this thing, or let's not do this thing.
Well, we'll talk about it during the good of the order at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, we
Public
can't do it
comment,
now.
yeah.
Excuse me?
Public comment is just public comment.
Oh, well, I was looking for a pat on the back and let's get moving.
Which is why I hesitated on approving the agenda, because I don't know why he wasn't placed on the agenda. We knew he was coming and that
Yeah.
we'd be asked to do something with this, so I would like to place it on the agenda.
That's up to you guys.
Can we do that at this point?
Well, let's wait until after public comment, and then someone could make that motion. Okay.
Finished? Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Jack, and I'm co-owner with Tony Rubio on Louis Lunch on the lake cart. Let's just start with this letter that Tony and I received on January the 10th. I have a copy of the letter here. It states that application for a license was denied, which I will take blame for that. Now let's talk about the letter we received on March 14th, which states, your application was received on March 6th, but all state that the city is in the process of reviewing proposal amendments to the city code, which stating no application for such permits, which I figured that's all right. Then stated in this letter that the process being completed this spring. Also that public hearing on the proposed amendments is scheduled. So on March 20th, I attended that meeting on the ordinance amending Chapter 10 and Chapter 28 of the City Code. On April 28th, a letter sent to Tony and myself stated that no application for such permits was processed. So I printed off a copy of the minutes on June the 5th, 2017. And on good of the order, which Marcus states that there's currently no application on file for Louis Lunch on the Lake. Also, the attorney, Michael Homer, stated that letters were sent to both Mr. Bond and Mr. Rubio, which, as far as I know, we never received. So on June the 9th, I called Marcus at 1:15 p.m., and he wasn't in. So I called Sandy, the city clerk, on June the 16th at 3:15. She said that I have to talk to Marcus. So on June 20th, I called Marcus at 1:30 p.m., left a message. I turned around and called Sandy on June 20th at 1:35 p.m. She's seen the new application but does not think it has been approved. So on Friday, July the 14th, I called Marcus, left a message at 3:05 p.m. He is on vacation until July 18th. Called Friday, July the 14th, the same day, talked to Sandy, the city clerk. She said it's almost ready. And then she said, oh, it is ready. Pick up at noon, Monday, July the 10th, and be tuned in by July 31st. So I turned in the application before July 31st. And on Monday, July 31st, I got here before 2 p.m. to visit the opening of the applications.
Mr. Bond, you're past your 3 minutes, so if you could wrap it up.
Well, I would like to know what's going on with this application. It's been turned in. I was the only one that turned in the application, and to me, still getting a runaround. I know Louis owes you guys quite a bit of money, but if he doesn't work, how is he going to pay you guys back? So, hope you guys finally decide to let him open up his cart. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to request an addition to the agenda
Okay,
because I think it was an oversight. I should have said something earlier, wondering why it wasn't on there, but I'd like to maybe under
City manager.
the city manager's report, have a discussion and possible action related to Tim Ellenboss's request on Diggins Hill Courts.
okay. All right, would you like to make that motion?
I just did, yeah, that's a motion.
Support.
Support? Okay. Sandy?
Councilmember Ingalls?
Yes.
Reinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Spelman.
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Sherry. All right, then that takes us to the approval of the consent agenda. And this evening, we have the minutes from our regular meeting held on July 17th, along with the minutes from the closed session held on July 17th.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Spelman.
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries. All right, this evening, we do have a proclamation. Is anyone from the Baldwin Family Healthcare here? Would you like to step up to the podium? Okay, this evening, we're going to present a 50th anniversary proclamation. Whereas the Baldwin Family Healthcare began in 1967 as Michigan's first private, nonprofit 501c3 federally funded or federally qualified health center in Lake County, and there are now health centers in White Cloud, Grant, Cadillac, and McBain. And whereas for 50 years, underserved communities and vulnerable populations have relied on the primary and preventive care options provided. And whereas all of the sites are in health professional shortage areas, providing care to approximately 30,000 medical patients and nearly 8,000 dental patients. And whereas Baldwin Family Healthcare focuses on community-based and patient-centered care, which includes an emphasis on education and prevention that promotes wellness and helps people lead healthier lives. And whereas the theme for National Health Center Week 2017 is Celebrating America's Health Centers, the key to healthier communities. And whereas health centers serve over 25 million Americans at more than 9,000 locations nationwide, including Puerto Rico and U.S. territories. And whereas 1 in 15 people living in the United States depends on health center services that positively contribute to local economies. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 7th day of August, 2017, I, Carla J. Filkins, Mayor of the City of Cadillac, do hereby recognize and express appreciation to the Baldwin Family Health Center as they celebrate their 50th anniversary Jubilee as part of National Health Center Week, which occurs between August 13th and 19th, 2017. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, council members, as well.
Thank you.
Okay, this evening we have a public hearing. Would you like to introduce that? Marcus?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. This evening's public hearing is to consider a request from Michigan Rubber Products for an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate in the amount of $516,655 for their real property improvements. Michigan Rubber Products have essentially constructed two new buildings. One building bridges together another building and is in the order of magnitude of 35 feet by 142 feet. A second building as part of their project is 50 feet by 200 feet. And both of these facilities are going to be used to store tools that are used in industrial processing. And by doing that, they're able to create more space on site to allow for nearly a dozen additional injection mold presses to be installed. This project will assist Michigan Rubber Products in the retention of 204 positions and is expected to create at least 25 new positions. There are representatives here this evening from Michigan Rubber Products should you have any detailed questions for them. And certainly the staff recommendation would be to recommend approval accordingly.
Good, thank you. At this time, we will open the public comment portion of the public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and say anything. If not, we'll go ahead and close the public comment portion of the hearing and have some discussion amongst the council. I will say that the entire council, along with the city manager today, had the opportunity to tour Michigan Rubber Products, and we very much appreciated the opportunity to see what goes on inside of those buildings. There was a lot of discussion about, we have this wonderful industrial park, and everyone knows where it is and everyone knows who's there, but having the opportunity to step inside and have you all explain it was really an honor. So thank you. Anyone else?
And I just wanted to say one more time, how much was the economic development grant that they got from the state of Michigan? Do you guys know?
I don't have that
Okay.
number here, but perhaps somebody from Michigan Rubber might be able to.
Could you step
attest
forward?
to
Would you
that.
mind? Thanks. I think that's something important that you could share with
Yeah.
the people that are here, how those matching grants and what our granting this to you means.
Yeah, we were, part of the grant was on the addition of jobs at Michigan Rubber. And the grant broke it down into three different sections. The first milestone came up at the end of the month for 40 new jobs. We've met that milestone. We're just in the process of doing the paperwork. And it was at how many a job? 4,800?
$4,800 a job for 40 jobs.
So the first installment is just shy of $200,000 of the grant. Now there's two more additional milestones that we need to meet in August of next year and August of the following year, both at 40 jobs apiece. We may have to renegotiate that grant because I just don't know if we'll have enough people in the area to hit the next milestone. We're struggling to find enough people to come in. I have enough work. I'm just struggling to find the people to actually do the work right now.
So you're hiring.
Oh, yeah, we're hiring.
Could you also explain about the plant down south?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
actually, that you chose Cadillac?
Yeah, last year around May, we had Zhongding bought us in 2009. They bought both the Michigan rubber facility and the Buckhorn rubber facility in Hannibal, Missouri. Both of us were struggling. Both of us were about 40% full. Both of us were struggling to economically make ends meet. In June of last year, I was asked to put together a proposal to combine the facilities, whether it be in Michigan or whether it be in Missouri. At that time, we actually met with the chamber and with Marcus to try to figure out if we could have some incentive to move everything up into this area. And quite honestly, Michigan stepped forward a lot better than what Missouri did. There were other reasons being why we chose to come up here. One of it was that actually the labor pool in Cadillac was actually better environment than what it was in Hannibal, Missouri. The other had to do with the type of product that we manufacture in each location and the difficulty in trying to move automotive business to a different location. But ultimately, my corporate decided that they wanted to grow and expand here, and that's when we came together with the plan to have the connector building, which adds an additional storage, and then have the basically the small warehouse that we have on site. What those things do is basically free enough manufacturing space for us to move all our manufacturing in our front plant, and then have all our storage for our tools and some of our machinery in those buildings that we've constructed. And then the back building will be basically a shipping and receiving area.
Thank you.
Then one more question I had, I think last time Owen ran the number as to what this was actually worth to the city of Cadillac a year. I think it was about $7,000. Is that the tax exemption that we're granting?
On?
About.
Working on it.
He's thinking.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I can take it.
It's nice to be on the positive end of those kind of difficult decisions. And the fact that our workforce here is at a better place for serving the plant. And I would encourage anybody who's looking for a job to head out there. I mean, it was pretty impressive out there today. And looks like it's a good place to work.
Cadillac Industries are certainly hiring. As we just heard today, Michigan Rubber is hiring, and as well as several others in the community. So there's lots of opportunity for people that are looking to stay local and get good paying jobs. So.
Okay, Owen?
So yes, the full millage rate for all the millages, depending on what ends up being the overall taxable value. And keep in mind that if you build a building or add two buildings, not 100% of that value shows up as additional taxable value. But if it did in this case, it would be about $7,500 total, and that includes all the millages. So it'll be something less than that annually.
Seems like a pretty good bang
to
for
get a
the
great
buck.
return. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what could have happened, we,
Yeah.
could have relocated to Missouri, and we wouldn't have any
Right.
here. So
Right.
I like the opposite. I hope you have the ability to solve your labor shortage issues and meet your next goal, because those are great incentives.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, would someone like to make the motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution approving the application for an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate for Michigan rubber products. Zongting, USA? Okay. Cadillac Inc., and approving the letter of agreement.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers,
Yes.
Spelman,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Meinhardt,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. All right, that takes us to communications, Sandy.
Yes, the first request is for 2 off-premise signs from October 18th to October 21st, 2017. 1 sign at South Mitchell and Pearl, and 1 at Sunnyside and Pearl. And this is for the Zion Lutheran Church Craft Show.
This is a request that we've approved in the past. And I believe the proceeds from this craft show go to Project Christmas. Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the request for the 2 off-premise signs from October 18th to October 21st for the Zion Lutheran Church Craft Show.
Support.
Councilmember Spelman,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Meinhardt,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
The next request is for the closure of Lake Street between Harris and Cass from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. on August 11th and on August 23rd, 2017, and also 8:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. on August 18th, 2017 for the Rotary Club concerts and movie night.
I'd like to request to be exempt from this since I'm the one who made the request. I think I should probably not vote on it. You did mention 3 street closures, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. It seems like I had one other question on here, though, or a clarification. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, I just wanted to note that for the movie night, that title is not cut in stone yet.
Do not disappoint.
Well, it hasn't been publicized yet, so no. I haven't, I haven't got that contract signed yet. But there
Okay.
is going to be a movie, we just don't know if it's going to be that title.
Okay, all right. Could someone make the motion to allow Sherry to recuse herself?
I'll make the motion for Councilmember Spelman to recuse herself from this vote.
Support.
Sandy, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Ingalls,
Yes.
Meinhardt,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, now, would someone like to make the motion to close the streets?
I'll do that. I'll make a motion to approve the closure of Lake Street between Harris and Cass from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. on August 11th and August 23rd, 2017, and also to close those streets at 8:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. on August 18th for the Rotary Club concerts and movie night.
Bit of support?
Support.
Councilmember Meinhardt,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes?
Ingalls,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Can I ask who the concerts are?
Yeah, the first concert is actually on the 11th. That's coming up this Friday. And that's Cambio, a local group of musicians who are doing a great job. And then on August 23rd, we're bringing back Luke Winslow King. Always a local favorite. We're glad to have him.
And is the Beauty and the Beast, is that the new Beauty and the Beast or the old Beauty and the Beast?
That's the new one.
So let's
But
do
we're
a
not gonna
collective finger
mention that
crossing
title.
throughout the city.
Good job, Robert.
Let's just all cross our fingers.
Build excitement.
Oh. Okay.
Thanks.
So we'll move on to the next one, Sandy?
Next request is to approve the closure of Lake Street between Harris and Cass from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on August 19, 2017 for the Strong Tower Radio Concert.
And wedding, right?
Mm-hmm. 30-minute concert, then a 30-minute wedding, and then a 30-minute concert.
So they don't have to pay for the use of the pavilion?
They are,
They are?
for the
Okay.
wedding, yes.
All right, thank you.
It's an interesting format. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'll make a motion to approve the closure of Lake Street between Harris Street and Cass Street from 5 PM to 9 PM on August 19th, 2017 for the Strong Tower Radio Concert, Wedding Radio Concert. Strong Tower Radio Concert.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers,
Yes.
Shulman,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Meinhardt.
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Just for information, Councilmember Shippers, they didn't see any point to open the street. They said it would be like 15 minutes for the wedding. so they're
Right.
not gonna open
I
the
know,
street.
I know. I was just being,
Just maximizing.
myself.
Okay.
The next request is for the closure of Lake Street between Harris and Cass from 12 PM to 6 PM on August 20, 2017 for the Cadillac Pride event.
I'll make a motion to approve the closure of Lake Street between Harris and Cass from 12 to 6 on August 20th for Cadillac Pride.
Support.
I think this is the third annual. Is this the third annual?
I
don't
think it's the
believe they did
third.
it last
I don't
year.
remember.
We didn't
them
do it
having
last
every
year?
No.
It's 2 years ago.
So
I
it's coming
remember.
back.
Okay.
yeah.
So this is just the second one in 3 years.
Second one in 3 years. Okay.
Councilmember Spelman,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Meinhardt.
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. And that'll take us to the city manager's report.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. The first item is with respect to a change order for the Holly Road construction. A change order in the amount of $85,000 is required in order to remove and replace aggregate for the Holly Road, Wren, Vine, and Heather Streets project. In summary, it was discovered that the existing aggregate has little or no clay binder, and that it's impossible, therefore, to grade it and compact it to a level or a density that can then be paved over with asphalt. Pending cooperative weather, removal of the existing aggregate, and then delivery of the new materials, it is anticipated that the road will be finished and reopened by the end of this month or in early September. We did have an update in the Cadillac newspaper a couple of weeks ago advising again of that time frame. And also last Friday, notices were hand-delivered to all of the affected property owners advising them of this update as well. We do have Prina Newhoff here in the audience in case there's a question regarding the engineering of the project. It is unfortunate. But as with construction projects, there could be unforeseen issues that come up. So the recommendation this evening then would be to approve change order number 1 for the 2017 street improvement projects as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Sup-
support.
Go ahead.
Support.
Well, and we can't leave the street tore up, so
Yeah.
Right, we gotta do it.
that's too bad. Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Ingalls,
Yes.
Meinhardt.
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Spelman,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of the City Council. The next item is in regard to the market at Cadillac Commons, and this is a monumental moment that we're having here, not unlike the very significant moment in which we moved forward with the Plaza at Cadillac Commons project. Before I jump into my brief presentation on it, I just would like to advise that with respect to the project being over budget, it's not over budget. And that was a clarification that I would like to make right in the beginning of this conversation. It's important for everyone to know, and I wrote this out just to make sure I hit the salient points, that quite a long time ago when the Plaza project, not the Market project, but when the Plaza project was being designed and implemented, we basically took a stab in the dark trying to identify what we thought potential costs were going to be down the road as we looked at building out another major component to the Cadillac Commons area. That next component being the market at Cadillac Commons. And back when those conversations were had, we were anticipating that price to be somewhere between the $500,000 and $700,000 range. Skipping ahead quite a period of time, we did in fact learn through a preliminary engineering estimate that it was going to likely be in the $1 million range. And then when the bids came in, they were within that ballpark. Certainly, when you're talking about a project of that magnitude, they were not significantly over or under where they came in. And it was at that point that we then had to put together the necessary funding to be able to make it all work, which is what we're here very proudly to be able to do today, which is to provide you with our recommendation with respect to the bids that came in and be able to move this project forward and get it constructed. As I mentioned, as we would with any project, we did take our time in analyzing the bids, and in working with the lowest bidder, we were actually able to identify approximately $250,000 of cost savings. The savings were primarily found by using a different methodology in the fabrication and in what will be the assemblance of the steel building structure for the market itself, in addition to removing and or redesigning some other attributes such as electrical masonry elements on the columns and removing resealing of the plaza. We had actually stuck into the bid resealing of the plaza, which is a separate project, just to see where that came in at, and it's something that we're able to do more cost effectively ourselves versus trying to do it as a part of this project. And so through looking at the different way of constructing the building and assembling the building, along with some of the other items that I just mentioned, we were able to identify, again, approximately $250,000 worth of savings. So as the City Council then prepares to move forward with this, it's important to know that the appearance and the quality of the facility that we're looking at building is substantially equivalent to what has been envisioned and what has been publicized. And we had, for reference purposes this evening, a blow-up of the latest conceptual rendering of the market prepared. The only real difference that you would see is that instead of the pillars being completely straight as they're shown there, they'll be more angular based upon how they're going to become pre-assembled on the trusses. But the characteristics, the colors, the structure, the building structure itself is going to look very, very similar to that conceptual rendering that was essentially envisioned as we looked at moving this project forward. And so that's a really good thing. We were very concerned that as we looked at ways of being able to do this, that we would lose the character and possibly lose the look. And I'm very happy to report that that's not going to be the case. Also happy to report that some of the amenity pieces to it, such as the quilt floor, that's all in there, obviously. We were very successful in getting a lot of community support especially through the crowdfunding campaign, and that is an element that is not being altered or changing in any way. So this is really a win-win for everybody that's involved. The other part of this piece that I want to mention as well is because of the savings that we've been able to identify, the recommendation this evening is to award the project as the bid came in. We don't need to look at adding any additional contingency at this time because we were able to find those dollars through the process itself of how we're going to assemble it. So we feel very comfortable that we'll be able to move forward with the project as it's been bid out without needing to add again, at this time at least, without needing to add an additional contingency on top of that. So that's a good thing as well. And what you'll also see later on in your agenda tonight is sort of the next step to this project, which is the appropriation of the dollars to make this all happen. And it's really impressive when you think about it, and as you'll look at it, that several $100,000 of this project, I believe approximately $350,000, are currently going to be coming from brand-new grant sources and outside funding sources, which is incredible. The dollars that we're looking at transferring in order to make the appropriation from funds on hand are also dollars that are one-time use dollars. These are dollars that were previously used for, these are dollars that were grant dollars in the past from other projects. They're dollars from a past project where the city sold its interest in a property. These are not dollars that have a funding source behind them. In fact, one component of the dollars is from an overpayment from the state of Michigan, a one-time overpayment. This was something Council had talked about as a part of our budgeting process for this next fiscal year. We received a one-time bonus payment or overpayment by the state. We have no idea if we'll get it again. And so we're looking at allocating a portion of that as well into making all this work. As I continue to talk about it, I also want to mention that while we're able to identify the necessary funding and getting this project off the ground and putting it in as we've envisioned it, it's very important to not forget the importance of the community support that we've had in moving this project forward. As again I mentioned, over the $350,000 of outside funding, and also the fact that our Cadillac Area Community Foundation, working collaboratively with the city, but also working with the Alliance for Economic Success, are looking at kicking off a new capital fundraising campaign to help benefit Cadillac Commons, which would certainly help benefit this project and eventually the extension of the White Pine Trail, which is also being nicknamed the Trailhead at Cadillac Commons. And so this is really something that I'm very proud that we're here tonight looking at moving it forward. We're also looking at possibly setting a groundbreaking date pending council's availability for the afternoon just before your next council meeting, which is Tuesday, not Monday because of Labor Day, Tuesday, September 5th at 4:30. So I will stop talking at this moment. The appropriate action at this point would be obviously any discussion you may have, but then the appropriate action at this point would be to award the bid to Cole Inc. in the amount of $1,210,489.
I have a question. Sorry, I'm really still trying to figure out all this financing, and I really appreciate your discussion about it and
Sure.
explanation. But if we're looking at doing some of the work ourselves to the tune of, I think you said about 200,000 or 250,000?
No, I had made a comment that we were able to identify approximately $250,000 of cost savings after analyzing and reviewing the methods that were going to be used in creating the facility and the complex. And because we were able to identify that cost savings, the recommendation this evening is to simply award the bid as it was received versus what we would more traditionally do, which would be to award the bid as received and then add like a 10% or more contingency on top of it. And so we're comfortable today.
So this looks like the true cost of the project?
Yes.
1.2 million?
Yes. Yes.
Is there any other questions, clarifications? Marcus, I do appreciate you clarifying you know, that black cloud that was out there for a while, as it related to $600,000, you know, people thinking we were over by $600,000. That was never the case. The $600,000 figure was simply for the market structure itself. The rest of it is all preparation and gutters and the parking lot. All of the rest of that is outside of the structure. So, so thank you for clarifying that. I think that the community feels a lot better about that. So, okay. Would, if there's nothing else, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the contract for the construction on the market at Cadillac Commons to Cole Inc. in accordance with their bid.
Support.
Sandy, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much, members of the City Council and Mayor. We will certainly look at getting that date for the groundbreaking confirmed, and we'll publicize it accordingly. Hopefully, the weather will cooperate with us as well. This next item is with respect to the designation of a primary representative and an alternate to attend the Michigan Municipal League Annual Convention's annual meeting. I do know that I believe all the members of council possibly are going to be attending the annual convention, but the league does ask for two people to be the alternate and the designate that will vote as a part of the annual meeting. This is something we do basically every year, and so at this point it'd be appropriate for someone to volunteer. Or
Just say, I will be there on Wednesday at 1:30.
Okay.
So
All right.
Will be there?
Is anybody else going to be there at 1:30 on Wednesday?
I won't be there till later on Wednesday.
I can't remember when I'm going to be there.
Okay,
Will you be there at 1:30 on
I
Wednesday?
can be. Yes. Yeah. John?
I'm not sure what time I was leaving. I can be there at 1:30 though.
Okay. I don't mind at all being the designee, but if somebody else would like to do it, that's okay with me too.
no, I'll be the alternate for you.
Okay?
If that sounds
All right.
good.
Okay.
So I'd like to nominate, is this what I do? Nominate Mayor Filkins as our delegate and, okay. A motion to designate Mayor Filkins as the primary representative and Councilmember Engels as the alternate to attend the Michigan Municipal League Annual Convention.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Meinhardt?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes, motion carries.
thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Should anything change with your schedules, just let me know and we'll work something out
Okay.
for the board.
All right, thank you.
The next item is the item that we added, item D, regarding pickleball striping. I don't have any issues from an operations perspective with respect to the painting of the pickleball court. I'm not sure if there's any feedback on this side of the table, guys? Any concerns or issues with it?
I was just wondering what the school, if they, I know they use those, and will this obstruct the tournaments? No, I don't suspect, especially with Tim's
Tim, why don't you
involvement.
go to
and
the
all
mic?
My pleasure.
Thank you.
I have not talked with anybody at the school pertaining to this, because, quite frankly, they don't own the courts, they belong to the city, so it's really our call, not theirs. And this past winter, I was staying down in Florida, went to Delray Tennis Beach Center in Delray Beach, Florida, and they have pickleball lines on their court, and that is a gigantic tennis complex. So I figured if it was good enough for them, it's good enough for us. So I don't foresee any problems whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree.
And you said that you would gladly work with the school and their schedule of.
Oh, absolutely,
of
sure.
events, Because
Yeah.
they do
Yeah,
send teams to both courts.
yeah.
And I want to go back to the original concept when we redid those courts up there. Because I was a member of that committee that did the fundraising for it, and the intention was to have 2 pickleball courts up there. I don't know why it never happened. I was surprised because even a year ago when I was talking to a friend about I wanted to learn how to play pickleball. I said, well, we can go up to Diggins. She goes, there's courts up at Diggins. It floored me to learn there was no pickleball courts up at Diggins because they were supposed to be there.
In my opinion, it should have happened quite a while ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a
But
question. If it was always the plan to have 2 pickleball courts and we're gonna do the striping, does it make sense to just go ahead and do both of them?
I think that's a progressive idea, and I would certainly be in favor of it. I don't see a losing proposition here in any way, shape, or form. If the people don't use it, at least we've thrown it out there and done the best we could do for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a demand for it.
Then we don't have to revisit it later. It will just be done as it was originally planned.
Exactly, yeah.
Would that work okay, Marcus? Yeah.
No problem on our end.
And we're not talking about brain surgery or parting the Red Sea. This is a pretty simple affair. Yeah, yeah.
How are the lines going to get put on there?
Well, that's a great question. That's something that, and you should know, I'm the
Are you a painter?
Yeah.
Many years ago, in the old days at Diggins, we, as tennis players in high school, we put lines on ourselves. Yeah, we did. But I haven't explored that yet. I just had to get by this governing body first. But I know I've talked to a couple of people about asphalt folks that put lines on asphalt and blah, blah, blah. There has to be somebody out there. And if worse comes to worse, I've talked to people at the YMC that do the pickleball Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have a pretty strong contingent of people that would be willing to step forward and get it done by ourselves, if necessary. I just don't know. I haven't talked to anyone yet.
After you have those discussions, can you let us know?
Absolutely, sure. If I'm welcome back.
Of course you are.
Always.
It's always my pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah, any other questions? I think it's a win-win deal. Yeah.
Yes.
And perhaps we can see all of you up there playing pickleball someday in the very near future.
I would like to,
That would be interesting.
in all my spare time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
give it a go.
you bet.
Mayor's Fit City Challenge, right there.
Betcha.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
It's appreciated.
You want to do this?
Well, yeah, I'd like to make a motion to allow Tim Allenboss to work with the city to get the pickleball courts created at Diggins Field or Diggins Courts as requested for courts 3 and 4.
Okay.
Support.
Councilmember Spelman.
Yes.
Ringles.
Yes.
Meinhardt.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. You're welcome.
These will be our first public outdoor pickleball courts
That's
in the community.
All right.
another first.
Yay!
That's right.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mayor and members of the council, I was remiss in also mentioning that we're working very hard in trying to get the donor recognition plaque also installed, so that perhaps when we do the groundbreaking, if it's ready to go, we can also have an unveiling at the Rotary Pavilion
That would be great.
that same afternoon. So it
I
could
think
really
that's
be a
very
nice,
important to
a nice
mention.
night.
I've had a
Yes.
lot of people ask me what the
Let's-
status of that is.
Let's not schedule the groundbreaking until we have that plaque, because I think they should happen at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we're looking at.
wonderful, thank you.
That and the sun kites, weather kites, but,
Yes.
you know, yeah.
Yes, I know. Okay.
Okay,
The next item is a request to adopt a resolution amending the General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2018. This is all relative to the item that you just approved with respect to the farmer's market. These are the necessary fund transfers that we will need to make to appropriate the dollars that I had referenced are the one-time use dollars. Owen Roberts, our finance director, will walk us through it.
Okay, Marcus has mentioned nearly all of these transfers, so this is just the logistics of getting the money into a separate capital projects fund that will account for the construction of the market. So the first one is from the general fund, and this transfers $250,000 from the overpayment from the local community stabilization authority. This was the overpayment that we received for the personal property tax reimbursement the first year of that. The payment on that was $612,000 last year, and we had budgeted $320,000. So the actual overpayment was $292,000, and the recommendation is to use $250,000 of it for this project. The next one is from the Capital Projects Fund. This is the fund that Marcus mentioned from the sale of the city's interest in the power plant. This fund has traditionally been used for things like alleys or, assisting in the construction of that. It's also been used for a couple of recreation projects, including the tennis courts, and for help at the pavilion. So the council has, in the past, chosen to use it for projects similar to this. The next one is the Cadillac Development Fund. There's about $1.2 million in this fund, and primarily that was from the city's partnership with a grant, and it turned out to build the Hampton Inn, and then that was repaid. And these funds have been used for various economic development type activities in the past.
So
And
there's,
then-
there's still 1.22 million in there,
$1.22 million in that fund, right?
and we're gonna use 322.
Yep.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, there'll be about $900,000 left in that fund. And then finally, the H.L. Green Fund. This was when the city, many years ago, bought and refurbished the H.L. Green building downtown. That building was sold on a land contract to the current tenants, and that has been paid back in full. And remaining in that fund was about $120,000 at the end of the day, once all of the other funding partners had been paid back. And the idea at the time, from what I'm told, that was before I had started, but was to just reinvest those dollars back within the downtown area. So this certainly stays within that theory as well. And then finally is the Market Capital Project Fund. This is just accounting for all of those transfers coming in and then appropriating the amount for the construction. There is currently about $165,000 on hand, and that's from the Patronicity campaign and the first installment from the Cadillac Area Community Foundation. That's why the appropriated revenues are a little bit less than the construction, because we already have funds on hand from last fiscal year that we received. So this gets all of the funds in there to pay for the construction up to $1.25 million.
I sure do appreciate the way you guys have identified all of these funds and the whole staff. I know you've worked really hard to identify the funds for this.
Right. And, we're creating something for generations to come. And we're doing it with funds that were within the city for infrastructure projects such as this. And we're doing it without asking the taxpayers for any more tax dollars. So it's exciting.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion?
Yep, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution amending General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2018.
Support.
Okay.
Councilmember Ingalls?
Yes.
Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Spelman?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. The next item is the item that we requested to move until just after our closed session.
Okay, all right, so the next thing on the agenda then is just the copy of the minutes from the last Dog Park Advisory Committee for you to review at your leisure. And at this time, we'll open the floor for our second public comments with the same rules as the first one.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Doreen. I am at the Cadillac Community Foundation, plus I've been working with the Alliance of Economic Development, as Marcus mentioned. And the important things that we're doing right now is we're looking at the critical needs for the greater Cadillac area. And we're going to try to improve those and get some workers for these factories that need people and some housing, and there's lots of things on our critical list. But I just wanted to come tonight and thank the council for everything that you've done. I've been uptown to events for the last 6 weeks, and it's been crazy and exciting, and you guys are doing a really great job, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you very much.
We're glad to have you be a part of it.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
Community Foundation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close public comments and move to good of the order. Does anyone have anything that they would like to share during the good of the order?
I have just a question of, could we provide an update on the status of Mr. Vaughn's application for a mobile food operation?
Yes. Soon,
Soon?
yes.
Okay. So the application is in the works?
It
It
is.
is.
Okay.
I have a couple of things. The first one is I have a question about the closure of Lake Street. When we close Lake Street, it's so that pedestrians can pass from the lakeside to the park side, and that all becomes park property and a safety mechanism for the pedestrians. But what has begun to happen is that for almost every single event that we have down there, people move the barriers, people who maybe can't get around so well, they move the barriers and they're parking in there.
They're parking.
They're parking on Lake Street right in front of the pavilion, and to me, that's a real safety concern. And so I just wanted to bring that forward to say that, we really need to enforce it, or we need to designate it as handicap parking during events, but I don't think the second option is what we would want.
Right.
So I didn't know if you were aware of it or not, but it's happening
No,
more and
no, it
more.
isn't. But I appreciate you bringing it up. Parking is not allowed on Lake Street at any time, so.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder
well,
if
in
it's
that
because
area.
people who have limited mobility can't make it the whole way,
Right.
from the plaza or all of the handicap spots are taken up on that south parking lot.
Yeah, there aren't very many. I wonder if it could, I don't know if it would be possible as a solution to move a barrier in enough so that and designate that as handicapped.
I think it's
can't?
risky to
Oh, great,
try
'cause
to
if you have to-
accommodate, vehicles, whether they're
At
for
all.
handicapped or not, yeah. 'cause
I would be
peop- yeah.
afraid of
But
children
there
running
is
through there.
handicap parking, I believe, handicap parking in the lots immediately to the south that are adjacent to the pavilion.
Yeah.
So there are other parking options aside from the angle parking on Harris Street, angle parking on Cass Street, or the lot adjacent to after 26 and the plaza itself. I mean, there is a lot of parking there, but you do have to walk a little bit. If people are attending something at the pavilion itself, the closest parking would actually be immediately adjacent to the
south.
right to the south, or parking along the right-of-way that is allowed adjacent to the railroad tracks. But again, if people have mobility issues, that may not be the most conducive to walking because of the terrain. But
Maybe if we use it as
yeah.
Couldn't
if they could drop off right there at the barriers.
Mm-hmm.
that, or
And then
couldn't
go
we even, that parallel parking, or not parallel, the
Angle parking.
angle parking right there along the train, just make that all handicap? Because
On
I
the
would be
grass,
really
yeah.
close to it, And if they wanted to sit in their car, they could sit in their car and still see it.
Where are you talking about?
Right along the
Across from the
train,
Shea.
The Shea
After
Station's
26,
about there,
yeah, right
right
past
Okay.
across the street.
It's about 2
Well,
Okay.
they'd be right up to the park. You'd be able to see what's going on if you couldn't get out of your car. Plus, if you did, it's the closest spot really to it.
I'm thinking though that, if you have handicapped drivers, they're not getting out of their car and moving barriers, just
No.
saying. So, I think what's happening is maybe people are loading out on Lake Street,
And then
when
keeping
and
their
then
vehicle there.
keeping their vehicle there.
I think
And
it's
then others see that there are vehicles there and jump in.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing that I have also been observing, I think it is a combination, but I've actually had conversations with people who have a handicap sticker, and they feel as though they should be able to park in there. So I just wanted to clarify that. The other thing that's happening, that when we planned that whole new design, when performers are there, they back their trucks in there, and they're supposed to offload and then take their vehicles out, but I've sat through several events down there where there's a big truck sitting next to the pavilion,
Right, you can't see the lake.
and you
then.
can't see the lake. So I don't know how we enforce that, but I would like us to somehow address that.
I am happy to have a conversation with our Public Works Department that oversees any of the formal events that are down there, and remind the performers that while they can use it to offload, on the south side of the pavilion, they have to move once they're done. So,
Yeah.
and likewise with the parking. And we'll make sure that the police department knows that
Okay.
cars aren't allowed there as well.
Okay.
So.
So that was one thing that I had. And then I also want to say how absolutely excited I am that not only did we come in the top 4 for the Community Excellence Award for the conference that we're going to be going to, but we came in first place with the people's vote on our placemaking project, the Cadillac Commons placemaking project. So when we get to Holland in September, now it's up to the conference attendees to choose the Community Excellence Award. So we're going to pull out all the stops and make sure that they vote for us. So I'm not very competitive. So,
It's a deserving project, if you ask me. It's something
yeah.
that's, every time, there's so many people using that this summer. I just love seeing that.
And I think it's important to note that, regardless of what happens at the convention, when it's just the convention attendees that vote on the project, that the preliminary voting that got us into that finalist round was open literally to the whole world. And so,
it shows up.
win or lose at the convention, the fact that we came in on the top when it was open to anybody, I think is quite an accomplishment. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And if I was going to mention one other thing for good of the order as well, unless there was anything.
No, I'm all done. Yes.
I just wanted to mention as well about how Mayor Filkins received the Athena International Award. This was something that was bestowed upon her just earlier this past month, July 22nd. And I took a couple of notes. The Athena International Leadership Award, it's inspired by the goddess of Greek mythology, known for her strength, courage, wisdom, and enlightenment. Award recipients are individuals that exemplify the following. They've achieved the highest level of professional excellence. They contribute time and energy to improve the quality of life for others in the community. They actively assist others in realizing their full leadership potential. And I just wanted to say congratulations publicly for the honor that you received. It's obviously important for you as a professional, but I think it's also very important for the city and the community as a whole to recognize what was bestowed. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's a great award, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well
It was
deserved.
very humbling. Okay, does anyone else have anything for good of the order before we move to go into closed session? Okay, would someone like to make that motion, please? It's a big one.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to closed session to consult with the city attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with Clam Lake Township and hearing Charter Township versus the State Boundary Commission, Terry D. LLC, and the City of Cadillac. Supreme Court docket number 151800, and to discuss written confidential legal opinions. I'd also like to, within that motion, invite Jeff Dietland, the Director of Utilities, and Todd Keyway, Human Resources Generalist, accordingly.
Support.
Councilmember Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries.